My name is Karen. I'm a working mom balancing a job in administration and doing housework. I've been married to Ain for about 2 years. We don't have a child yet, but we were pretty happy together. But that happiness didn't last. Karen, I want a divorce, Ain said one day. What? Why? I asked, surprised. We've been trying for 2 years, but we haven't had a child. I want to have a child. If we can't do that together, then, he explained. But even if we don't have a child, being happy with just the two of us should be enough. I tried to convince him. But Anne wouldn't change his mind. In the end, I gave up and agreed to the divorce. Take care, he said as we parted ways. You too. Goodbye. Luckily, since we didn't argue, we were able to divorce peacefully. The apartment we lived in was under my name, so I stayed there after Ain moved out. After he left, I told my mother about the divorce. Mom, I'm sorry. We ended up getting divorced. Well, dear, these things happen. So you got divorced? Hey, Carrie, why do you seem so happy about it? Huh? I'm not really happy, you know. Stop making weird assumptions. That's right, Karen. I know you're just after the divorce, but don't take it out on Carrie. I didn't mean to take it out on her. Well, anyway, just take it easy for now. Following my mother and sister's advice, I decided to take a break from work for a while. After about a month off, I went back to my job. It was a bit lonely for a few months after the divorce, but I kept busy with work. However, about 3 years after the divorce, something unexpected happened. Hey Karen, I got a call from my ex-husband, Ain. Ain? What's going on? Why are you calling all of a sudden? Don't just say, what's up? Pay the child support ASAP. What child support? I asked, completely confused. Yeah, that's right. I've got to support your child. Hold on a second. I don't understand what you're saying. Let me get my thoughts straight. I hung up the phone for a moment. No matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't understand what Ain was talking about. We had never discussed child support before. Feeling that something was off, I decided to call Ain again. Hey, I still think something's not right. Why bring up child support out of nowhere? What's going on? What are you talking about? You're not planning to not pay, are you? I mean, I don't have a child. As I tried to explain, Ain interrupted me. Karen, I haven't received any child support payments for a whole year. Please make the payment by bank transfer. What? A whole year? Hold on a moment. I'm pretty sure I haven't made any transfers at all. Huh? What are you talking about? You've been paying all this time. But suddenly stopping child support for over a year made me wonder what's going on, so I reached out. The conversation felt confusing, leaving me unsure. Well, I haven't made any transfers myself. Ain insists I've been paying. It's been really tough without child support for this past year, but I understand you have your own expenses. I thought you were struggling financially, so I didn't press earlier. But if the payments have stopped for over a year, I'll be in a tough spot too. Please make the payments. I don't want to escalate this, but if you refuse, I'll have to take stronger action. What do you mean by stronger action? I'll garnish your wages. You owe $5,000 in child support arrears. Double wage garnishment. That's too much. You're being unreasonable, not considering my situation. Ain wasn't listening, so I decided to tell him the truth. Ain, listen. I've never given birth to a child. There was silence on the other end for a while. What are you saying? I don't understand. There's a son right here in front of me. I thought maybe you lied about having a child to demand money because you were struggling. What? I would never do that. I demanded child support because there really is a child. Stop lying. Why would there be a child? I haven't given birth to any. That's ridiculous, but your mother told me this child is mine and entrusted him to me. Huh? My mom? Yeah, about 8 months after our divorce, your mother came over with the child. She said she found out about the pregnancy right after the divorce. She said you weren't in a mentally stable enough condition to raise a child properly, so she wanted me to take care of him. She even suggested I demand child support from you. No way. Why would my mom say such a thing? Something was definitely off. Thinking that, I hung up on Ian for the time being. Then I immediately called my mother. Hello, Mom. Hey, Karen, what's wrong? Ain just contacted me, saying you entrusted a child to him. What's going on? He claims it's my child, but I've never given birth. You know that, right? Oh, you've figured it out. I wish you had stayed in the dark forever. Deceived? Whose child is Ain raising then? Well, that child Ain's looking after is your sister Carrie's child. What? Carrie had a child. That's right. Actually, Carrie was involved with various men all the time, and one of them apparently got her pregnant. When Carrie found out she was pregnant, all those men disappeared without a trace, so Carrie ended up giving birth without any support. Why didn't she consider abortion? Oh, come on, that's so heartless of you to say. Besides, abortions cost money, and if there are people willing to care for the child, why not let her give birth? Why does Ain have to take care of Carrie's child? Well, Carrie says it's too hard for her to raise him. Right after you and Anne divorced, I thought it would be best for Ain to take care of the child, so I told Ain that the child is both yours and his. This way there's no need for an abortion, and Carrie doesn't have to go through a tough time. This is nonsense. And Ain mentioned he received child support for a year. What's going on? Well, I used a bank account in your name to make those payments. That's why it wasn't noticed. We kept it up for about the first year or so, but now it's up to you two to sort it out, haha. I finally understood why Ain thought the payments were made by me initially. Filled with anger towards my giggling mother, I shouted, "This is unbelievable. I'll never forgive you. You won't get away with this." Then I hung up and immediately called Ain to explain everything. I can't believe it. About the child support, it turns out my mom was paying from an account in my name. She did that. I didn't suspect a thing since it was in your name. I won't forgive them. Even though they're family, they need to face the consequences for what they've done. Face the consequences? What do you mean exactly? I have an idea. Can you please help me? Got it. I trust you. After ending the call with Ain, I set my plan in motion. The next day, I returned to my parents' house. What's going on here? Carrie, Mom, explain everything properly. I can't believe I had to come back home for this. This is ridiculous. You should have just kept paying the child support. Don't joke around. Do you realize how outrageous both of you are? Carrie, what you did is like brood parasitism. Do you understand? I don't know. What's brood parasitism? It's when you let someone else raise your own child. It's something birds do, but your actions are just as bad. What are you talking about? Don't play games. My life is tough too, you know. How tough? You're probably still living off Mom without a job, eating away at her savings and pension. Well, it's not a big deal. I'm the youngest and getting doted on. Seeing Carrie show absolutely no remorse, I was completely disgusted. Do you even care about your child when you're letting someone else raise them? Huh? I don't particularly care about the child. What? Well, you know, changing diapers and feeding milk, it's honestly a hassle. Plus, it's harder to hang out with guys when you have a kid. Disgusting. You have no right to call yourself a mother. Huh? What are you saying? That's enough. Carrie won't understand, no matter what you say. It's better to keep quiet before you cause more trouble with Anne. What do you mean? Maybe we should have you stay in a hospital for a few months. Are you threatening me? You're my mom, right? You mean nothing to me. Carrie is the most important. Fine then, we have our plan ready too. Plan? I gestured towards the door, and immediately Ain entered, holding the child in his arms. Ain, you're here, and you've got the child, I said. Carrie, this is your child. I've heard everything. You two are selfish, and you plan to silence Karen, Ain accused. What? It's just a joke, right? We don't condone violence, my mother stammered. But aren't you both being unfair to Karen? Doesn't this qualify as a form of harm? Ain questioned. But if you hear the whole story, you'll understand, right? I'm jobless and broke. Since I had the baby, I couldn't take care of him myself, so I needed someone else to look after him, Carrie defended herself. So you used me and lied about the child being mine? Ain asked angrily. But taking care of the child was actually enjoyable, right? Even though you faced financial challenges and other difficulties, you got to experience the joy of raising a child, so you should appreciate that, my mother said. Enough. You two are terrible. Terrible. That's harsh. You two are the worst. You won't take responsibility for the child, yet you only want to enjoy the good parts. That's absurd. Ain wasn't usually the type to get so angry, but this time he was furious like a demon. Seeing him like that, my mother and sister were trembling and in tears. Why? You don't need to be that angry. It was just a small mistake, Carrie pleaded. That's right. I deeply regret it. Can't you forgive her? Please take care of the child from now on, my mother begged. Don't be ridiculous. I can't let someone irresponsible raise the child, so I'll take care of him, Ain declared firmly. Thank you, my mother said, suddenly relieved. But they were mistaken if they thought they could just pass off the responsibility of raising the child. Ain did agree to take care of the child, but we had our own plan. What's the misunderstanding? My mother asked. While Ain agreed to raise the child, he's not accepting him as Carrie's child. He wants to raise him as ours, I explained. What do you mean? Carrie asked, clearly confused. Carrie, by giving birth and then neglecting your responsibilities as a parent, you've crossed a line. That's why I reported this to CPS, Ain explained. CPS? What does that mean? It's Child Protective Services. They've advised us that we can go to family court and seek to terminate your parental rights. Since Karen is related to the child, we can pursue legal guardianship. What? You mean I'll lose my child? Yes, this is the consequence of your actions. What's wrong with what I did? I can't raise a child without money, so I made a practical choice, didn't I? No, Carrie's actions are not rational. It's not normal to give up your child to strangers and lie about it. This can't be happening. Mom, please help me. What do you want me to do? This is the first time I've been in this situation, so I don't know what to do, my mother said, tearful and bewildered. They still didn't grasp the seriousness of abandoning their parental responsibilities. Hold on. No matter what Karen says, the child sees me as their mom. Give them back to me, Carrie demanded, trying to take the child from Anne. Hey, stop it. Didn't you dislike taking care of a child? Anne protested. It's difficult to raise him, but it's even worse to think I won't have him anymore, Carrie cried. Don't be absurd. This child doesn't see you as his mother, Anne said firmly. That can't be true. He is my child. I gave birth to him. He should see me as his mother. Carrie desperately tried to take the child away. Just then, the child uttered "Dada." Though hesitant, at just 2 years old, he clearly said "Dada" and clung to Anne. Carrie's presence seemed frightening to him. What are you saying? He's not your dad. You don't have a dad. I'm your only parent. Carrie's desperate expression only scared the child more. Seeing this, I intervened and separated Carrie from the child. Wait a minute. He is my child. Mom, help me. It's hopeless now. Even after all this deception, my mom, who had orchestrated everything, collapsed in shock at the failure of her plan. She hit her head badly and lost consciousness. Mom, are you okay? Carrie cried out. We're going to talk to CPS now. Goodbye. We don't want to see you two again, Anne said firmly, and we left the house swiftly. Afterward, we worked with CPS and went to family court, where our request to terminate Carrie's parental rights was granted. As legal guardians, the child was placed in my care. Anne and I decided to live together, and the child now sees him as his father. Since Anne and I divorced initially due to our inability to have a child, we decided to remarry and raise the child as our own. Later, my mother suffered brain damage from the fall and became bedridden. Despite never having worked before, Carrie managed to find a part-time job to support our mother. She lives with regret, realizing things didn't turn out as she hoped. Anne and I are happily married again, and we live as a family of 3,